Give a big hand for Riley.
Thank you, Garrett. Okay, all right. I'm going to do this thing. Okay. Aloha, good evening. My name is Riley Workman. How's everybody feeling tonight? Super, super. Garrett, good job. Thank you for hosting this excellent space. I love the center of the universe. I'm happy to be here, and I just think it's so neat that such an environment exists to permit this kind of storytelling event and all kinds of creative expression. And so you know, upcoming October 29th, I'm performing the piano here. So if you're around for that day, please drop on in and experience that. So with that being said, Garrett asked me to come tell a story, and I'm happy to do it. I'm really excited. This evening, what I want to do is I want to tell you a story about a bear and a beaver. And I'm going to do it in the spirit of my favorite philosopher, whose name is Alan Watts. Anybody heard of Alan Watts? Okay, cool. All right, the name's gone around. Perfect. All right. That being said, I feel perfectly ready to commence. So shall we go?
Let's go!
Shall we go?
Let's go!
Shall we go?
Let's go!
Once upon a time, there was a bear, and the bear wandered through the forest. And bears do what bears do, they galumph and they search for fish. This particular bear was going into the river where it could find some salmon that were flowing upstream, got perfectly positioned, and opened its mouth ready to catch a fish flying straight into it. Only in that moment, it heard a creaking sound. And it looked over to the side to see what it was, and discovered a great tree was falling directly on the bear's head. And the bear didn't know it was a bear for a moment, and it got hit so hard. But then it got up and began looking around, and it noticed where the tree had fallen, there was a beaver. So the bear went over to the beaver to see what all the fuss was about. And the bear looked at the beaver and said, "You know, beaver, this tree just fell on my head. Did you have something to do with that, beaver?" The beaver looked at the bear and said, "Yes, I absolutely had something to do with it. You see, I have been using all of my magnificent teeth to be chewing at this tree so that it would fall precisely on your head," the beaver said. The bear looked at the beaver and said, "You know what, beaver? I feel you're being perfectly honest with me, which I appreciate. However, I don't appreciate that the tree just fell on my head. I feel I must hurt you now for doing that, beaver." And beaver said, "No, I don't think you will, bear. I don't think you will do that at all." And the bear looked at the beaver and said, "Why not?" And the beaver looked at the bear and said, "It's because it's your birthday, bear." And the bear looked at the beaver and said, "You remembered?" And the beaver said, "Yes, of course, bear. That's why I did more than just get your attention with the tree. Observe, bear, what I have done." And the bear looked and saw that the tree that had fallen had landed in such a way that it had blocked off the flow of the river and created a little bit of a pool. And in this pool, all of the fish had gathered. And the bear was no longer having to open its mouth and hope for some strategic advantage that the trajectory of the fish would perfectly go inside the open bear's mouth. No, there was a pool. It was like a smorgasbord where the bear could go in and simply feast. The bear was very excited about this and looked at the beaver and said, "Beaver, thank you very much. It's clear you thought of me to a very great degree and on my birthday of all days. Thank you, beaver." And then the beaver looked at the bear and said, "You know what, bear? You're welcome. And I'm hoping that you will help me out with a little something. I in truth, did all of this, bear, because I wish to ask you a favor." The bear looked at the beaver and said, "Well, what favor do you wish to ask me, beaver?" And the beaver looked at the bear and said, "Well, you know, with my mighty teeth, I fell many trees, and only the other day I fell a tree, and it happened to land on Cougar. And when it landed on Cougar, he was not delighted like you are, bear. Happened to do it quite by accident. You see, Cougar spent all of his day trying to consume me, bear. I had to stay in the water all day. It got very cold. Eventually, Cougar went away, but I was hoping, bear, that you could talk to Cougar and sort all of this out, and perhaps maybe Cougar will just forgive the event and all will be well. Bear looked at Beaver and said, you know, Beaver, I really appreciate you remembering me on my birthday and creating this wonderful pool of fish for me to consume. Good luck with your life. And Beaver looked at Bear and said, no, Bear, please. Only you can stop Cougar. Will you go and communicate with Cougar about this? I really wish to live. Bear said, fine. I'll go and I'll find Cougar and see if Cougar will change its mind. So Bear went all the way up the mountain to find the den of Cougar. And when it arrived where Cougar was, it saw Cougar out on a rock, soaking up the sun. Said to Cougar, hi, Cougar. I'm here because a tree fell on your face and you're upset about it. You want to eat Beaver, and I'm going to talk you out of it. Cougar looked at Bear and said, oh, Bear, you've wasted your breath walking all the way up this mountain. There's absolutely nothing I want more than to eat that Beaver, Bear. Bear looked at Cougar and said, well, change your mind. Beaver can be a good friend if you let it. You say, oh, a good friend wouldn't drop a tree on your head. Like, he dropped a tree on your head now, didn't he, Bear? I heard the sound. It sounded like your face getting smashed, Bear. Was it not your face? And Bear had to confirm it. It was indeed my face. And Cougar looked at Bear and said, really, Bear, you think a friend drops trees on your face? You think that's what friends do? Bear had to think about it and thought, no, I don't think that's what friends do. Cougar said, I'm glad we see eye to eye, Bear. Good day. And if you've got any business with that Beaver, I suggest you wrap it up. So Bear went back down the mountain, looked for Beaver, went up to Beaver, and told Beaver the news. Said, Beaver, you know what? I talked to Cougar. There's no way you're not getting eaten by Cougar. Good luck. And Beaver looked at Bear and said, please, Bear, you're making me beg. You're big. You're capable of stopping the Cougar, and you've come back with this answer? We can all get along. I know we can. And Bear thought about it for a moment, everyone getting along. It was a thing he pondered, and he came up with an idea, and he said, you know what, Beaver, I have an idea. What if we bring fish to Cougar? Maybe Cougar would enjoy eating fish. Maybe Cougar's just very hungry. And if Cougar eats something, he'll forget about it. And Beaver thought about it and thought, yes, that's great. You know, Bear, you can carry 2 fish in your mouth all the way up the mountain to Cougar, and that will be perhaps the same amount of food that I would be. So let's see if that happens. And Bear looked at Beaver and said, you know, Beaver, in our existence, there's an opportunity for everyone to find their place and to perform the role of their responsibility. You see, each of us is incarnated with a chance to be something that has never been experienced, and that's why this abundant universe produces all of us the way it has, and that's why, Beaver, you're definitely going to carry one of the fishes up the mountain. And so Beaver and Bear went up the mountain with fish and approached Cougar. And when Cougar saw them, Cougar said, you know what? I see you've brought me food, Bear. And the Bear said, yes, we brought you food, but it's not the Beaver. And the Cougar says, come now, Bear, you know I can run laps around you. There's absolutely no way you can stop me from eating Beaver if I want to. And then the Bear says, have you ever tried fish before? And Cougar says, no, I've never tried fish before. I stay out of the water, Bear. Come now, Bear, you ought to know this by now, but you clearly don't. I see you in the river like a wet dog, constantly opening your mouth for fish like some sort of savage. Meanwhile, I am elegantly hunting my prey through the sagebrush. And Bear said, you know, I think you might really like fish. So he gave the fish to the Cougar. The Cougar ate the fish, and the Cougar thought, you know what, this is quite delicious. Ate the second fish. And when it was done, Cougar looked at Bear and Beaver and said, I am so full, I'm so full, there's no way I think I could possibly eat a beaver at this moment. And Bear smiled, and Cougar laughed, and Beaver finally relaxed. And they all agreed to be happy and live in harmony together. And it was a wonderful evening for all, except for the fish. The end. Thank you.